Hey, you're wide receiver Khalil Shakir, right?
I sure am, kid. Here, go long.
Whoa! You're pretty good at football, man.
And you guys are pretty good at pizza.
Oh, sick. Dude.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Postgame Show podcast presented by Picasso's Pizza. And we are here because the Bills just defeated the Denver Broncos 31-7 in the wild card round. And we'll move on to face the Baltimore Ravens in the divisional round. Jake Micah here, joined by Maniac exiting the stadium. Maniac, do we have you with us right now?
We're locked in, just like the Bills were locked in. Obviously, not a great start. We talked all week. We said I don't know how many times I could have said. I go, the only thing I'm a little worried about is a slow start. Now I wouldn't call that a slow start, but man, Bo Nix comes out, they go 70 yards or whatever in a blink. You get a little worried, but man, besides that, Micah, this was 57 minutes of pure, unadulterated domination of those Denver Broncos.
Beat down. It was a beat down. It was a bully ball game. If you take out two bad red zone possessions and a 50-yard touchdown, 43-yard touchdown pass officially on that first drive, I mean, this game, it could have been 45-0, and that's not an exaggeration. Like, Bills dominated every statistic you can look at here. Time of possession, just like the formula for the Broncos to win this game, upsetting the ball, we talked about it, or upsetting with controlling the ball, controlling the clock. The Bills had the ball for 42 minutes in this game. Like, they just bully ball. 471 total yards compared to 224 from the Broncos. Sean Payton did not trust Bo Nix in the second half at all. Like, they were running on first and second down every single play, man. It was crazy.
A little bit more, and that's so puzzling, Micah, because obviously you give Peyton credit where it's due. A man who was ready to go fake punt in the first half, a man who clearly, understands that they were an underdog and he's playing for mine. I could not understand the play calling. There was just a complete lack of dynamic, scheme. There was a complete lack of variety. It just seemed like once the Bills were able to pin those years back, say maybe on the third or fourth Denver drive, from there it was absolutely smooth sailing. We got McAdoo chiming in here on the YouTube. Surprised Nick did not get over 200 yards. That's crazy. The fact that Bo Nix did not get over 200 yards on the day after essentially having 50 to 60 in that first 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, that's astounding, Micah.
Insane. It's a masterclass, and I had words for we all should have had words for that defensive breakdown. It was inexcusable to happen on that first play, but then the second didn't let up anything. The D line played great. They made Nix move off the pocket and get out of his comfort zone a little bit, and the defense did a great job of moving Bo Nix off of his first read. Like, that's really what happened. Is Bo didn't have the quick outs that he usually had, and they couldn't get open. The coverage was sticky down the field. There were a couple of chunk plays to Cortland Sutton. He made some good plays against Christian Benford. But other than that, Bo Nix can do anything. 13 to 22, 144. And 43 on that touchdown pass. So he had 100 yards. After the first drive, he only had 100 yards passing the rest of the game. Like, that's a win.
I was going to say, and he was basically 2 for 2 for 50 or 60 yards in that first drive. So 11 of 20 plus for 100 yards. I mean, the Bills will take that every single time. It doesn't matter. It's very surprising. Like you said, Bo Nix didn't struggle. He didn't throw picks or anything. It just felt like he was constantly in third and needs to convert a 7, 8, 9. It wasn't crazy, but again, they just did nothing to kind of jump at the chance to especially after that strong start, Micah.
They couldn't get anything going, and it's because this secondary, whatever they were doing, just had them flummoxed. Really, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball here, because in the first half, I was concerned about the way the Bills offense couldn't get anything done in the red zone, and the way Josh Allen was not even playing, but being utilized. It just seemed like they were playing with the kid gloves in the first half. And it was working because James Cook was awesome. Don't get me wrong. James Cook, 23 carries, 120 yards, superstar numbers today. You could give him MVP of the day and I wouldn't be mad, but Allen did end up turning up with good numbers. Obviously, we'll talk about the play to Ty Johnson
I
later,
love, I
which is
love
just
how I love
a
how we
moment
can
in
hands
itself.
down give James Cook the MVP. Like you said, absolutely massive part of the day. When probably the best play, quote unquote, went to another running back.
The best play of this game, the moment that we're going to see in the highlight reels for the rest of his career and hopefully for this Super Bowl run that the Bills are making right now, that not just the throw, Allen getting out of the pocket and the Broncos being like, we're not even trying to sack Josh Allen here. Like, we just don't
Did they do like a no rush at the beginning there? That was crazy.
Basically, it's kind of like in Madden or like NCAA when you set all your guys to like QB spy. That's all they just kind of stood still. We're like, we're not rushing, but we're not going anywhere. And Allen makes a throw that I'm willing to say this, Maniac. I'm sure you would be too. There's no other quarterback on planet Earth that can make the throw that he made. The trajectory and the angle and the placement that he has, and to get it into Ty Johnson. And then Ty Johnson, as we had here, as the let me get this back up because we do have this photo that we can look at here. I don't know if you can see this right now, Maniac. Look, this photo shows me.
I can't even tell you how positive I was that this was an incomplete pass live. I can't even tell you.
Oh my gosh. Well, Maniac, that's the thing because the NFL is crazy, right? And they want catches to be ambiguous. So I'm sure this exact play would be called an incomplete in a lot of NFL games over a course of a 17-game season and playoffs. But in that picture, and it did look live, that he is, if you say that he has control, the first point of control, his knee is the only thing touching. Whether he had control, I don't know. If I was a Broncos fan, I'd be pissed about that call. Would that have mattered in this game ultimately?
In front of me going nuts. I had Broncos. They were saying he bobbled it.
I'm sure that they were. I wouldn't blame them. It was
rolling on the field, and that kind of spoke volumes.
Yes, it did. And that was ultimately, I think it was the right call. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think it was just a great catch, a great play, and that's what it comes down to with the margin. Sometimes in the NFL is a bang bang play. You want to look at something
next week against the Ravens. Am I here?
You're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all about next week. I mean, the focus goes on to Baltimore, but yeah, it's hard not to kind of bask in this game, Mike. 500 yards of offense almost.
500 yards of offense, but you're ready to talk Baltimore? Is that what you're telling me? You're like, all right, Denver game done and over with.
I'm like
Let's go
ready
Baltimore.
to get into it right now. I'm not ready to feast, but bring them on right now. I wish we could play them right this second.
Right this second, I agree. It was just reassuring. This first half, starts slow. It's 10-7. You get the doink, so you're feeling good going into halftime. But then the Bills turned it up, and the Bills played with their food first half. They could have been up, 17-7 at the very least in that. But ideally, they could have really been up 21-7, 24-7 in that first half. They weren't sharp. Allen wasn't sharp. Joe Brady wasn't sharp in the red zone. But you got to give credit to the Broncos defense, where you obviously were at the stadium, Maniac. One of the graphics they put up in this game. Bills second in red zone offense, the Broncos coming into the game third in red zone defense. So it was a strength on strength, and the Broncos just got them a couple times. Like, that's just what it came down to. That's what the Broncos are really good at this year.
It was in between the 20s. It was pretty easy sledding for Josh Allen and co. Open receivers, go at finding gaps. When it got down inside the 20s, that'll be something to work on this week because that was a little tougher sledding, Micah.
Yeah, it was. It's if they do that against you don't win games against good teams like that if you don't execute in the red zone. So if they play a Baltimore team and they're trading field goals for touchdowns, that's a quick way to go down in that game. And listen, they got to 31 points. I said before the game, 28.5 locked. They're going to get to 31 in this game. They made us sweat it out, but down to the end. But with that Tyler Bass field goal at the end, they get to it. They're going to have to score more than 31 next week to beat the Ravens. If we want to talk a little bit of Ravens.
More than 31?
Yes.
31
Maniac, they're not going to be able
against Baltimore.
No, I don't think so. Do you think so?
I mean, I'm just saying if you gave us 31 right now, like, I'd take it for sure.
You would take it? I don't know.
I guess I'm kind of underestimating, how well the offense played for sure. I'm probably still a little salty that I didn't sprinkle that live, minus 3.5 after that opening Denver touchdown for sure.
Oh, that is tough.
But I mean, Micah, 31 points. No McDermott face to slow down that MV3 potentially.
I mean, it depends if it turns into a possession like a game where we're getting shorter possession or longer possessions, and it just doesn't come down to that. I see it, but I think both these teams are going to get chunk running the whole time. I think it's going to be knockdown, drag out football, but I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. I'd want 35 to beat Lamar and Co. I'd want 35.
So you're saying if I put the button in front of you right now,
yes,
the Bills score 31 next week, you would not take it right now?
No, I would not. I want 35.
Okay. Well, I hope that's a good thing. I hope that's faith in our Bills. I hope that's the Buffalo's ability. This is going to be McDermott in a revenge spot. Don't underestimate McDermott in a revenge spot.
I agree, but here's the thing: if they win 35-27, that's still a better defensive game than they played against Baltimore already this season. So that's what all I'm really. I don't need them to be world beaters on defense here. I just need them to make a couple more stops and don't let up the 80-yard touchdown run from Derrick Henry. Like, that would be nice to not let that one up. But if that happens and then the Ravens get into 30, if the Ravens get into here's my thing: if the Ravens are in low 30s ish area scoring wise, like that's where I imagine they could end up in this game. So I think you got to get to 35 at least, because if you're at 31-28 going into the last drive or something like that, that scares me. That's the scenario I'm looking to avoid. It's more of like a safety blanket, like a warm 4 points.
I was gonna say, is 35 better than 31? We got asterisk. We got new points being made by Micah here. For sure. You're right. 35 would feel a little safer than 31. I guess, Micah, this is the way I look at it. This is how it adds up for me. You're right. They scored 35 last time they played us. They definitely dominated the last time they played us. That there's no doubt. Of that said, we're obviously getting back a lot of defensive starters. I think it was 2 defensive starters, Bernard and Milano, and then maybe like a half, depending on who we have at safety, et cetera. But I just look at it, Micah. Like, I look at what, like they were, I say only, they only put up 28 against Pittsburgh at home yesterday. So I would like to think that, this Bills crowd, this Bills Highmark Stadium atmosphere, I mean, if you like Josh, just to be clear, Josh's numbers were not like astounding today. You take and I know you can poke holes in everything. You can, you take away the Ty Johnson touchdown, which is a low variable, but next week is literally a tangible opportunity. Even if Lamar Jackson is going to win the MVP, that we can affect his performance. We can make it tough on Lamar Jackson, and we can put our guy in a position to look a lot superior as we try and chug our way towards that AFC Championship.
I agree. I'll be more nervous later in the week. That's what happened to me this week with this game, I'm sure. But right now, here we go. We got Steve Noble chiming in. Favorite part of the day was that, listen, we do have to find. Broncos fans were great today, Steve, but Maniac, that kid arguing back and forth with you was pretty great. So
they were raised right. Shout out that kid for joining me for a pregame interview. Shout out him and his dad. They saw us during the pregame show, brought to you by Picasso's.
Oh, that's awesome.
Locations all over Western New York. Go to picassospizza.net. But so they came over, and I'm like, fuck the Broncos. I mean, let's face it. I'm sorry. You can say your kid shouldn't say but the Broncos were worth a good fucking today, and that's exactly what the Bills did.
Yeah, it was outclassed. Like, Sean Payton didn't trust Bo Nix by the end of that game. And he shouldn't have. Like, they weren't going to be able to do anything with Bo anyways, because that defense, they had him on lock. It was domination, man. It literally could have been 45. Isn't it just weird to you?
Isn't it just weird to you, though? Because I agree with everything you said. It was like once, like they lost that initial, swagger. Like, once they realized they had nothing. It's just very shocking to me that Peyton didn't have some kind of alternative, whether it was, outside runs or something, or like sweep runs, like at least something just to try and slow down this Bills defense. I mean, there were times where Greg Russo was literally about to devour Bo Nix back there, Micah.
Dude, Von Miller wanted a sack so bad. There was a couple times Von is just in Bo's face, and you can tell he leans back just a little bit because he doesn't want that roughing the passer. But Von was close to getting one against his former team. That the D line, it's the Bruce Nolan said it earlier. tweet that no matter what happens this year, the D-line is going to be the biggest source of discussion in the offseason. And I agree because it's been up and down throughout the year. But today was a good sign. And if they have a good performance next week, I mean, if they have a good performance defensively next week, they win that game. Like a good performance from the D-line next week means Lamar is not scrambling around and running for, 15 yards on third downs. And it means Derrick Henry didn't have big chunk plays and they stuffed the run decently. Like the D-line is the key to Bills' victory next week. And that's what it's been for the last 4 years, really. But they showed out today. And I think Russo,
my devil's advocate of how it would be like exactly what you just said is that our defense, Micah, our D-line has shown out for literally, I would say, 2020 was a little bit of a wash because Josh was just lighting the world on fire out of nowhere. There were some games where our defense got shellacked that year, but 21, 22, 23, I would say our defensive line was crushing. We were crushing opponents all season long. We were dominating division opponents. We were crushing opponents in big games. And then what would happen, Micah, is we'd get to that, playoffs, and it would kind of go away. Postseason, it would go away. You wouldn't see your Ed Olivers. You wouldn't see your Russos. You wouldn't see your Daquan Jones. My only thing I could say, like I said, starting ourselves as devil's advocate, maybe this is the year where we had inconsistency on the D-line all season long, but come postseason, the boys come to play. The Hogs come to the yard. They take care of business.
Could be. And that'd be, hey, maybe they've been saving it up for it, right? I'm sure Vaughn, in a way, has been like thinking about what can I do to be as good as I can December, January. That's what they paid him for. And listen, the Von Miller story of the Bills, we're gonna talk about it till I'll be talking about it with my friends and having beers 30 years down the road, I'm sure. Before the injury was worth all the money in the world. And now with that full healing, and they haven't really unleashed him yet this year. They kept him on a pitch count. He still had, like, according to all these advanced statistics and everything, like the advanced stats loved Von Miller's pass rush rate and everything he did. And you signed Von Miller to this deal.
He wins. I think he wins his one-on-ones. I think he causes quote-unquote pressure. He causes quote-unquote hurries. But yeah, those aren't traditional things in the box score. It's either sacks, tackles, assists, anything like that. Yeah, you get your occasional tackle for loss. But like you said, I think the advanced metrics are really respecting what Miller's doing. And you said it perfectly. This ramp up right now, he should be hitting his absolute peak. He should be playing right now. He should be feeling as good as he's ever felt after that injury as of right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean. Going into a game next week against the Ravens and Lamar and Derrick Henry and everything they're going to need that defensive line to do, that's the game. That's the reason you signed Von Miller, is for him to show out in a game next week. So not saying like no pressure, Von, sorry, but his Bills legacy could be defined by.
I think you muted yourself at the air then. But yeah, Bill's legacy 100%. For a lot of people, and by the way, just to be clear, you hit the nail on the head. When he came over here, he was absolutely closing out games. They were able to use him at the exact point in games they wanted to, so he could be a weapon, everything like that. A little slowed down after the injury for sure. But yeah, next week, and hopefully, knock on wood, will be a little bit, and as far as his legacy goes, for sure. So hopefully get a big performance there. Just kind of putting a wrap on. I know we'll we got a couple final.
We got a whole week.
Ray, we got a big week ahead, so we want to enjoy this one. Obviously, want to enjoy this one with the Broncos. It's very funny. It's just nothing as a Buffalo sports fan is like as easy as it should be. Like you go out and you just get knocked in the face by like a 70-yard touchdown drive to start the game. But all in all, like a lot of people predicted, a dominant Bills performance. On the injury front, I know we lost Teron Johnson and he came back in the game, so that was good. I know we lost Ray Davis. I think that was in the second half. No time to come back in the game, right? Obviously, he's questionable.
Yep. He's questionable.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure he's going to have to. I'll check on Twitter right now. But I mean, the direct hit right to the head, I'm sure that they at least tested him for a concussion, and then we'll see what happens after that. Bad ball by Josh Allen there. He shouldn't, like, maniac. I was, watching that game at home thinking about this. If that throw happens in 2005, like that guy is like, he did hit Ray Davis bad, but oh my gosh, like It could have been so much worse. So not a great ball from Allen to. Hey, look at me! Damn, you're home quick, bro. Look at you.
Oh yeah,
Right
we made record time. We made record time. Good traffic out of here. With that said, talking about the Ray Davis injury, like seriously, it's amazing how well Ty Johnson has played this year. James Cook has been at an All-Pro level, but truthfully, I don't know if you may have been alluding to this. I got zapped out for like 15 seconds. You need that Ray Davis if you're going to be that full cylinder offense cooking on everyone.
Yeah, 100%. So Josh Allen, apparently that's the update we have is from Josh Allen. He's talked to Ray Davis and he's doing okay, whatever that means. So Ray's at least in good spirits.
I to hell with the injury report. To hell with any team does. Any injury, I just want to hear if Josh talked to him and are we doing okay? And that's it. That's it. That's all we need. So how we feeling? You're home now. You got to take it the whole day. How are you feeling about the win over the Broncos? How you feeling big picture for next week? Big picture for next week, I'm feeling great, Micah. We just dominated the Broncos. We just scored 31 unanswered on them, 34 unanswered on them, whatever it was. I left in a flurry or whatever, but I mean, it's just today's game couldn't have gone better for how I'm feeling about next week. Maybe people will question the start. They'll be like, "Oh, you can't let Lamar get out in front of you 7." Yeah, well, if Lamar goes down the field, we'll throw him back in the dirt on the next drive. That's what's gonna happen. I think it like with Lamar's situation, unfortunately. I don't mean to put him on a pedestal like this. It's Mahomes status. You're just going to have to take your bumps. You're going to have to take your bruises when Lamar makes a play. Yeah. And then when he gives you a chance to capitalize on a mistake, an error, a gaffe, you got to do it.
This is not going to be the 2021 matchup where it's defensive struggle in the cold. Now, the thing with that game, remember, wasn't it like 50-mile-an-hour winds in that game?
Yeah, no, everyone, it was absolutely, it was 20 degrees and 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, basically. Anyone could say what was going on by that. It was incredibly difficult to throw anything more than 15 yards down the field. There were even some basically out routes where it was just incredibly difficult. So yeah, there's a number of reasons why it's not going to be like that game. The most of all being because both of these quarterbacks, that was Tony Stark and Thanos facing off in Avengers 1. Now we're in Endgame. Now we're in Endgame with these two, where they've had some experiences. They've both gotten much better as players. They've both developed insanely as players, and that's crazy because Lamar already had an MVP at that point. But they've both gotten much better since that last playoff matchup.
I do hope it's more like Avengers Endgame and Khalil Shakir is coming through the portal and Von Miller's coming through the portal, because I was going to say it could be more like Avengers 1 where Lamar Jackson pulls up and says, "I have a Hulk," and it's Derrick Henry, because that's the biggest difference in this game to me is that guy across the side of the field from that matchup. Now, who knows? Derrick Henry can make a game anytime, but you got to stop Lamar first, and then hopefully just stuff. You just can't let Henry get the 80-yard touchdown. The 80-yard touchdown is what's killed them against Henry-led teams. When they let him get 15, 10 yards, but don't let him get the big ones, they're able to beat and handle those games. So, but that's what I'm going to be worried about this week, Maniac. I'm going to be seeing Derrick Henry in my dreams, unfortunately.
Again, if you were, this is what I'll say to Bills fans all week. If you're not worried about Derrick Henry, I'd be worried about you. If you're not worried about Lamar Jackson, I'd be worried about it. These are two guys to get worried about. With that said, you take advantage of them. Are you scared of Zay Flowers? Are you scared of Isaiah Likely? No, those should be the guys who you can create matchups. And you get now, if we want to get a way leap ahead, Micah, if we want to go way too far ahead with some analysis, because just to be clear, I mean, Bills fans have been talking about the Ravens all week, have they not?
Yes, everybody was right.
Just to call a spade a spade. Just to call a spade a spade. I didn't think it was right. I thought we should have played the Broncos first, and everyone should focus on that. But I was literally in the bathroom at the game today, and it was after it was 7-3 or something. It was still early in the game, and some fan in there literally goes, "Well, who cares? Next week the Ravens are going to use a 290-pound fullback, and they're going to bring in an extra lineman and run it all over us." And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Oh my God.
But with that said, That's what we got to be ready for. We got Ricard coming in, and yeah, like they're probably going to take us because that's our strength, isn't it, Micah? That we can put Johnson in, and we're kind of in that constant flex dime defense, whereas that would be tiny compared with what the Ravens might be able to put out there as a front.
This might be a situation where maybe not Taron Johnson taken off the field, but maybe a DeMar Hamlin's taken off the field and they put in Dorian Williams or Balin Spector or a Joe Andreessen and to be a heavier set. I'm sure, I guarantee, I will actually personally guarantee this. This is a Jake Micah personal guarantee that the Buffalo Bills have looked at the film from week 4 and have devised a different game plan to attack Derrick Henry. I'm sure that was not the Bills' best tape to take out the Ravens in this rushing attack. 0% chance they did anything they're going to do in this game. 0% chance they did anything.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is, I mean, it's just a very long season. I think the Bills' Super Bowl odds were just about the same that week as they probably are now. Like the Bills were 3-0. They were like world beaters. They were beating everybody by 20 plus going into that week. So they were down to 4 or 5 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. They'll probably be right about this week. But again, this is like we said this going into the playoffs, Micah. It was never going to be easy. You were never going to get the Chargers and then the Texans or you're never going to skirt into the 1 seed and then play, the Broncos and then maybe the Ravens at home. It was always going to be this. That we're lucky we didn't get Burrow for round 1. I could definitely say that now. I could
very glad to play bonus.
Absolutely say thank God we did not play Joe Burrow. Thank God we played the Broncos and Knicks. With that said, yeah, it's time to strap in. It's time to just beat Baltimore, Micah. There's nothing else to it.
That's all you can do. So two quick things, and then we can get out of here. We'll do our final.
We're 1-0 times quarter of the way. Quarter of the way.
Quarter of the way. So 2 things, and we can give our final thoughts and wrap up here. It's a simple thing for me, the simple preview, and I'll touch on it, I'm sure, multiple times across all our Trainwreck panels this week. It's a great point that you said, both these teams' strength. They're both bullies offensively, but they both did the same thing to both these teams in the wild card. They just said, okay, you guys can try to keep this game close, quote unquote, but we're just going to lean on you, bully you, and run the shit out of the ball, and you're not going to be able to stop us. And now Allen did turn up and ended up with pretty solid stats through the air. The Bills over 200 yards rushing today. The Ravens over 200. I think they almost had 300 yards rushing last night. That's why I was hoping for the 35. But whatever team can really lean on the other defense and win in the trenches, and conversely in the trenches defensively, that's where this game's going to be won. And I think the Bills, that's how they've won all this year. They've been bullies and dominated teams, especially on the offensive line. And I think they can do that again. Also, the weather for Orchard Park next Sunday afternoon. 30 degrees, 21 real feel, 25-mile-an-hour wind gusts, but only 10-mile-an-hour consistent wind. Justin Tucker has had the worst year of his career as an NFL player this year, by far. If that wind is whipping around at Highmark, a place where he's had trouble in the past, in that playoff game. Remember, he missed 2 kicks in that game.
He's had trouble.
He's had issues.
Orchard Park ate that man up and spit him out when he came in for the playoffs.
Yes. And we saw today the Bills get bailed out before the end of halftime. Lutz coming into that game. He's a guy with range from 60. They said on the broadcast and on the GR pregame, he only was taking kicks from 54, 53 from that end of the field because of the wind. They send him out there at the end of the half from 50, hits the upright. So the wind working in Buffalo's favor 1 week, and Justin Tucker coming in next week. If that wind picks up, I am very much in favor of Tyler Bass compared to Justin Tucker, which I would not have said in years past. Also, very much hope we get Brandon Codrington back because we need a big special teams play in this game. I hope he's healthy.
Let me just a quick reminder, because you were saying violence. Justin Tucker in 2020 went 9 of 9 from 40 to 49 yards. He came into Orchard Park and went 0 for 2. So don't worry about nothing. Orchard Park owns Justin Tucker. Shout out to Micah for holding the 1s and 2s on the Pay the Bills. And real quick, just shout out that pregame. I know everyone
was awesome.
That pregame show, if you have not checked it out, was unlike anything that has ever existed in Buffalo. Again, I'm not saying we reinvented the wheel, but we're doing it in a different way that Buffalonians deserve. So let's go, Buffalo.
Yeah.
Let's go, Micah.
Let's go. Yeah, shout out to you guys holding it down there. It was a great scene.
Shout out Game Day.
Shout out Game Day. Shout out Picasso's. I'm just blessed that we're going to be back here another week next week to do it all again. We got it. Everything we wanted, Maniac, right in front of us.
It's all in front of us. It's exactly like we wanted. So let's keep going 1-0. Let's go 1-0 times 4. Obviously, we'll have Trainwreck tonight, tomorrow to kind of get everyone updated. We'll have Pay the Bills throughout the week. Make sure you're following all the platforms. Make sure we haven't picked a winner yet for the Picasso's giveaway. So if you haven't gotten in the Buffalo football giveaway, go make sure you share that. Hundreds of dollars being given away. But it's a good afternoon to be a Bills fan right now, Mr. Mike.
Yep. Enjoy it. I will take a victory Sunday. I'll probably take a little bit of a victory Monday, a little bit. But I'm thinking
Take the first half. Take the first half tomorrow on me.
First half. All right. First half. And then I was already thinking about the Ravens in the fourth quarter. Our guy Ernie yelled at me on Twitter. He said, listen, bro, get through these 14 minutes. I'm like, just a little thinking. That's all I wanted. I just wanted a little thought.
I like Ernie.
Sure. He does.
Yeah.
But all right.
We'll being real then. It's time to be aggressive. It's time to go win.
Let's do it. All right. Shout out to everybody tuned in today. We'll be back, as Maniac said, all week. Stay locked in on these platforms. Shout out Picasso's Pizza, our sponsor. And go Bills.
Let's go Bills.
Let's go Bills.
3, 2, 1.